I'm Gabe. I have a passion for learning about businesses and the visionaries behind them. I'm on a journey to uncover what life events have connected these entrepreneurs with success. This is Connecting the Journey. Welcome to Connecting the Journey. My name's Gabe Apshar. The purpose of the show is for us to look back at the past so we can show gratitude to the future. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, we don't take the time to look back and see where we came from in order to look forward. In my opinion, there's no gratitude looking forward. It's all looking back. So with that, today I've got my good friend, Mr. JP Piccinini, on the show today from JPAR, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to ask some questions and take a look back and see what got you where you are today. How you doing today, JP?
If this is not going to be fun, I don't know that we need to be on the journey together, right? The key to the journey is have fun along the journey. So
and enjoy it.
Let's have a good time. You and I have had our first share of good times, man, right?
We have, man. We've had.
We won't discuss that on the news. Or on TV.
Well, we've had some good time. I think we share some common interests. We have a birthday a couple of days apart.
Geminis unite.
Exactly. So yeah, that's it, man. I mean, the journey is going to happen regardless. You might as well have fun. You might as well have fun and be in the present, right? And enjoy where you're at today versus, guessing of what the future is going to look like, right? Because you can't control that.
Yeah. Celebrate the successes along the journey, the milestones, achievements. Have fun with your team. Celebrate those successes, and don't dwell in the fun too long. Make sure you don't have success hangover.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead, recover, and get started for higher peak, higher goals, whatever's next.
I think Geminis have a unique ability in the fact that we don't remember the bad things. Right.
I think our unique advantage is there's two of us, so that we can do more than everybody else. Because
there's two personalities.
There's two of us.
Yeah.
We're more versatile, especially in sales. Always hire a Gemini for sales.
Right.
It's not okay.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what's new for JPAR right now, and then we'll jump back and look at the past.
JPAR is JP and Associates REALTOrs, as you know. Give you the audience a bit of a background. It's a real estate brokerage. As a filming of this video, we are the #1 independent brokerage in the great Lone Star State. We're very proud of that because we started here in Frisco, Texas, in 2011, October of 2011, and we have since, in the last 8 years, branched out to 17 other states in the union, all the way from Arizona to Maryland and some northern states in Michigan and Kentucky and whatnot. So expanding across the United States.
That's awesome, man. It's been really fun to sit back and watch and be a part of watching your journey. I mean, y'all have really exploded y'all's growth over the last few years. It's been really, really fun to watch, and it's been fun to be a part of.
Yeah, you were there from the early beginnings. I think I probably had 100, maybe less than 200 agents.
Yeah.
When you and I joined forces and decided to form the business partnership.
Exactly, man. It's been really, really fun. But so let's, part of the show is looking back and see what got you there. But let's go way far back. I mean, you have a really, honestly, a true American dream, rags to riches story. And I think that there's some amazing points in there and amazing stories to tell. But how'd you get here? Where were you born at?
Well, I was, as we say in Texas, I wasn't born here, but I got here as fast as I could. Had no idea that I would be here. Most of us had no idea that we'd be here, right? Most entrepreneurs, with as much vision as we have, I think just about all successful entrepreneurs can tell you they've reached some sort of summit. They didn't see the view from the summit being this, right? Yeah. They envisioned the challenges, maybe. They envisioned, where they wanted to be, but the view certainly looks a lot different than what you ever dreamed of. But yeah, I was born in Naples, Italy, not Naples, Florida, Naples, Italy. And I had no idea that I would be here in the United States. I'm an Italian citizen, father's Italian, my whole family's Italian. None of us spoke any English. My father was a sergeant in the Italian Air Force. We weren't at all privileged. My mother was a stay-home mother. Father worked. He was deployed a lot for the Italian Air Force, worked in Rome. I lived in Naples. So there's about 2 to 3 hours. At the time, it was a 3-hour train commute. That was before the fast rail came about. So I would pick my dad up on Friday with my mom at the train station, and he would leave again Sunday night because he had to be back at the barracks by Monday morning. So that was, very normal I was an only child for the longest time. Very normal Italian upbringings. Definitely not American upbringings, but very normal Italian upbringings. Close, huge family, 40 plus cousins. Everybody got together on Sunday, had dinners at Grandpa's house. And then one day my dad came home and told us they had an opportunity to go and represent the Italian Air Force at Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas. Wow. And you know how I just said Wichita Falls, Texas? That's because that's how you say it, okay? But when you're an Italian and you read Wichita Falls, yeah, none of us spoke any English. I think I said that. So we ended up going in the middle of the desert, as we all thought that would be. Obviously, Wichita Falls is not the middle of the desert, but for us, suburbia people here, we don't understand what living in Naples, Italy may be like. But Naples, Italy, there's no grass. I lived in a condo, 2-bedroom condo, 1 bath, 900 square foot unit. Had a balcony, of course. The balcony overlooked the street. We had no backyard, and our playground was the street, and scooters and trash and cars parked on the street. I mean, there was, we probably had 10 feet of space between cars that are parked on the street for us to be able to play soccer or whatever. So it was another world.
So you moved from Naples, and what age was this?
13 years old. I was a freshman in high school. 13
years old. Naples, heart of Italian culture.
Absolutely. Very passionate Southern Italians. You got it.
In the middle of the city.
Yeah.
Close quarters. And then you're going to Wichita Falls, Texas.
For you to be able to see anything, you had to go on the terrace of the condo, of the house, and you could see this mountain called Mount Vesuvius. That's the only thing that you could see other than the rooftops.
So you could see Mount Vesuvius.
You could. I could see Mount Vesuvius from my bedroom window as a boy, as a child.
Interesting.
Every morning.
Circle around back.
You have to circle back around that one.
Makes sense now.
And as a little Catholic boy, I would pray every night, and say, please don't let Mount Vesuvius erupt on us, because we were literally under Mount Vesuvius.
Wow.
So we were, of course, we all grew up with the stories of Pompeii, as a little boy, and history is such a huge part of Italian culture and whatnot. So, yeah.
So was the Texas culture true? Like, did you think that you were going to come to Texas and everybody's going to be wearing cowboy hats and they were going to ride horses to school? Yes. That's the picture you had?
Other than people riding horses to school, the image was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
You had this huge, boxy, square cars. They were huge. People were wearing cowboy boots and cowboy hats. Wichita Falls, for those of the audiences that know, it's pretty country. I mean, it's on the Red River banks between Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah.
Great town, of course, good folks. About 100,000 people live there. Very tight-knit community, but very Texan in culture. To have these Italian, we had a very tight-knit of Italian community there. We had about 50-something families of Italians that lived on post because all the Italian pilots were being trained on American jets.
Okay.
So we kind of tend to stick with one another.
Sure.
Or they did. Of course, I, as a teenager, and I was the oldest kid there of the families because my dad was the oldest one out of the group. I was the oldest one, so there was nobody else for me to really associate with, which was a good thing because it made me go and assimilate with the Texan, high school American way of doing things as fast as I could.
Man, I can't imagine that. I mean, what was that like coming, in your prime of your childhood, going into your teenage years, leaving what you knew was true, and growing up to just a completely opposite change of scenery. I mean, how was that assimilating into the culture and school? I can't imagine how that was.
Yeah, I don't remember much of the details of how I was able to learn the language, but it was 100% full immersion without a doubt because, books, television, school, interaction with people. The only people that spoke Italian were my mother, my father. My brother at the time didn't even speak. He was little. There's 10 years difference between him and I. He wasn't even really speaking at the time just yet.
Okay.
So that was it. I don't know. I don't even know how I managed to go to school or get on the bus. Or this is the days before smartphones and social media, and we had paper maps, right? And none of us could communicate. So we would pull over at gas stations and pull out a map and point people, and people would kind of try to explain to us where we needed to go. But also some of the things that we have here are so much different than how we do things in Italy, like grocery stores and gas stations and pharmacy, medical systems. I really don't know how we survived, frankly. But I do remember it was rough. I got into fights as a 13-year-old boy. People were laughing because I dressed a little differently than, most people in Wichita Falls. And of course, kids in high school are mean. And that, I think, kind of made me, a lot of people are like, how come you don't have an accent anymore? And I remember practicing in a mirror certain words so I wouldn't sound so foreign.
Oh, so you wouldn't have an accent?
Yeah, I purposely did not want to sound foreign. I wanted to be one of the kids, one of the high school kids. I wanted to fit in. Yeah, and so it was a little rough at first. I'm not going to lie. I think we're like, what the heck are we doing here in Wichita Falls? Food was, for our taste buds, disgusting. We didn't.
You didn't like barbecue and meat?
No,
every
barbecue.
meal?
No, we didn't. Italians aren't huge red meat eaters. No, seafood was lacking.
Where's my fish?
Yeah, seafood was lacking. I told you that last night when we were over. We didn't have pasta. I mean, it wasn't Barilla pasta. Didn't come to the United States until about 10 years ago.
You mentioned something too about community, that they would either your dad would go and pick stuff up, or the Italian Air Force would actually fly stuff in.
We had nothing. So we had 50-something families, their kids, and spouses and significant others. Of course, the men, would go and they'd leave in the morning and they'd go fly to jets and they go whatever, and they come home and all the significant others were always at home, left to do whatever needed to be done. And my mother again was a housewife, so she didn't drive. Of course, none of them really were allowed to drive because they weren't American citizens. So they had to wait for everybody to get home. And there really wasn't, even when you went to the grocery stores, the Mrs. Bear's breads and the Coca-Colas and the cheddar cheese, the ketchup and the mustards and the meats like we have here, like we're accustomed to, the steaks. I mean, there's just such a difference in food, starting with the food itself, that we didn't even know how to feed ourselves.
I can't imagine the bread, like coming from, a three ingredient bread in Italy to a no telling how many bread.
And this is before we really got in the health wagon and started having all these options on breads and whatnot. Mind you, this was Wichita Falls. It wasn't Dallas, okay? So our selections was pretty limited anyway. So we got pretty innovative, and the Italian government, of course, knew the situation, and we take food pretty seriously. And every 3 months or so, a C-130 Hercules would come in from Italy, from the Italian Air Force, and they would open up the back, and I remember it's so funny, just the entire Italian community would go there, and then we'd park on the tarmac, and these guys in these, G-suits would open up the back of the C-130 and just start unloading boxes of pasta and start unloading wine and cheeses and, prosciutto, salamis, things and it was such a rejoice. We would literally have like tarmac parties when that C-130 would come in. We were like, hey, let's open up this mozzarella. Let's open up, we would start cutting salami, and the community would come together. But, and anyway, so that was for about 4 years, but it wasn't too long after that I became what I call an American, a Texan. Started wearing cowboy boots and started playing soccer, of course. Made a soccer team. That was a great way for me to get accepted.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think was the turning point when they obviously got accepted? But where was the time where you said, "Okay, I'm accepted. I'm part of the team. I'm part of the community," and I'll ask another question. Was there some benefits of being, the Italian kid in Texas, right? Once you got accepted, I would think there would be some benefits to that.
I don't really think there was an advantage to being an Italian living in Texas. To answer your question, when was I accepted? Somehow I was able to get this really pretty girl to go out with me.
Well, there you go.
Maybe there's an advantage.
Maybe the benefit of being Italian in Texas.
The skinny Italian kid got this beauty queen to go out with him. So I had a very popular girlfriend. My junior and senior year of high school. She was Texas State tennis champion. And now, of course, like typical teenagers, right? And nothing else matters at that point except your boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
So that was great, and started making a lot of friends. The soccer team, of course, I was, a pretty decent little soccer player, and that helped out, with sports. Of course, Texas is such a big thing on sports, and soccer was just starting to hit the Texas arena. We would come down to Dallas and have to play because not everybody up there had a soccer team.
Oh yeah.
So I remember driving down and playing in Keller and just, some of those big lights and big stadiums. I thought, wow, what is this? This is great, right? So probably for sure my junior year is when I really started feeling like this is my new home. In fact, my parents went back to Italy, and I chose to stay.
Oh, really? Junior year? Or
my senior year.
Okay.
I graduated, and it just so happened that the tour of duty was 4 years for my dad. So that happened my freshman year to my senior year. I graduated, and then we all went back, but I came back to go to Midwestern State University. So I left everybody back in Italy and enrolled at Midwestern and started my engineering career.
When you were back by yourself.
Here?
When you came back,
I was alone.
By yourself.
Yep. Wow. 17 years old. I graduated when I was 16. So 17, I was the guy trying to get into bars and dance halls at 17. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
Sometimes you could charm your way in. Into it. Depends who was working the door.
Yeah. And I knew Wichita Falls really well because I grew up in Wichita. But of course, going to college, now I had no parental supervision because my parents were in Italy.
Yeah.
I was alone. I had no family, so hung out with some of my high school friends, my girlfriend that I still had for a little while. I felt more home to me than Italy.
Sure. Wow, that's awesome that you were able to do that so quick,
Kids, the kids adapt really easily to whatever.
Yeah.
So my parents never adapted. They couldn't wait the day to go back, and for them it was a huge experience. They did this for the kids. My brother is now here as well.
Yeah.
He graduated from the University of South Carolina, married an American. They live in Columbia, South Carolina. They did all that for the kids. They, now of course they also live here as well part time because of grandkids, and we're all here.
Love it when they come in town.
Yeah.
I really hope this travel brand can open back up. I'm needing some good cooking.
That's right.
So, all right. So engineering. So grew up in Wichita, went to Midwestern State there, got a degree in engineering. What'd you do after you graduate there? Did you stay here? Did you go back to Italy?
And let me tell you, I think every entrepreneur story has a little bit of luck, but it has a lot to do with coincidence and maybe divine intervention. There's people say there's no such thing as luck. Well, I don't think that's necessarily true starting out. Everybody starting out has a little bit of luck to get their journey going.
Sure.
Whatever it is, whether it's you're lucky to have wealthy parents that can help you, whether you're lucky to have a network, they can help you. My luck was, again, this is Wichita Falls, Texas. So think about the coincidence here.
What are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds? That I'm down in Hearst in DFW at a career fair. I'm about 3 months from graduating and I have no jobs. And if I had no jobs means that I was going to be on the first flight back to Italy because I was a immigrant, right? My student visa expires the day that you graduate, okay? So I had really no other option. And I'm coming down to apply at a career fair and I see this company named Howmet that I have no idea who they are. And I go up there and I recognize the HR manager, the guy behind the table, as my best friend's dad named Mr. Woods, Lenny's dad. Lenny and I were high school buddies. And Mr. Woods goes, Giuseppe, and you guys know me as JP, but my legal name is Giuseppe. Giuseppe, what are you doing here? I said, well, Mr. Woods, I'm looking for a job. I'm graduating, in May from Midwestern. He goes, what are you studying? Engineering. Mind you that I was at Mr. Woods' house probably every week, okay? He never asked me. And he goes, you're graduating from Midwestern with an engineering degree? I said, yeah. He goes, well, I'm the HR manager for Howmet. Thiokol, rockets, aerospace engineering. We're looking for engineers. So he took my resume, slapped it on, I can see like it was yesterday, slapped it on a billboard, wrote my name down and said, I'll call you next week. And within 2 weeks later, I had a job as product engineer for Howmet, and I was designing, post-college, I was designing gas turbine engines for General Aircraft, GE. But the cool thing was because, and Mr. Woods knew this, because I was Italian, I could speak Italian, and one of their major clients was Fiat Avio.
Oh, really?
The Italian aerospace division of Fiat. So day one of my college, I graduated from college, I reported for duty, and I had one of the biggest accounts in Howmet as a 21-year-old junior engineer designing gas turbine engines They were a joint venture with GE and Fiat.
The defining moment.
Yeah, it was just divine intervention, if you want to call it that.
Well, but it didn't start there, right? You think, it started at the periphery. It didn't start there.
No,
it started back when you and Lenny became friends, you hanging out at Mr. Wood's house, him knowing the type of person you were. All that started way before then.
Yeah.
Right?
So my dad getting the proverbial Willy Wonka ticket to come to Wichita Falls.
Yeah. I mean, because the game I like to play sometimes is what if?
Yeah.
Right? What if you didn't make Mr. Woods? Right? What if you didn't go to that career fair?
Yeah.
I'm sure you weren't pumped about going to the career fair. I'm sure,
no.
I'm going to drive down to Hearst.
Wichita Falls to Dallas at the time took 3 hours, I think. It wasn't, the speed limit was 55.
Man, that's crazy. That's a huge defining moment because who knows? You would have went back to Italy. I'm sure you would have been successful, but we wouldn't be here where we are today.
No, the future for me would have been being an Italian Air Force pilot, following the family footsteps, which sounds fun, but I have a lot of friends that are Italian pilots, and they're not doing as well as we are here in Texas. Even being the cool job of flying jets.
Yeah. It's a different world, different culture.
Yeah.
So did you stay here with that account, or did you?
I did. I worked at Howmet, which Alcoa got bought by Alcoa for about 5 years. Great foundation. Did really well. I always add my reviews this little thing called exceeding expectations on my review that we carry to this day in our, actually I trademarked that, exceeding expectations.
Crazy? Another crazy thing, that was my tagline of my first company.
Was it really? Exceeding expectations?
Before we even met.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Brothers from another mother.
I'm telling you, man.
Telepathy.
Geminis.
That's right. And and then 9/11 hit. And aerospace was extremely deflated and crashed, and nobody was flying. And obviously, nobody was flying. Nobody needed gas turbine engines. So it got real boring real fast. Also, there was also a lot of dissent after 9/11, very similar to what's happening now in the country, where the country was united, of course, then. But if you were not an American citizen, you were looked at as a terrorist. It really felt, I don't want to use the word discriminatory, but it really felt divisive for us that were here, that were not American citizens. So I just married, an American, Jennifer. Jennifer and I went to college together. We just had Haley, our oldest daughter, and I was 25 years old or something, 24, 25. And I remember logging in on Monster one night and typing in all the criterias of my dream job, which included Italy. I wanted to go back home and really see what was there for me in Europe. And one job came up on Monster. It was crazy. I submitted my resume, and 2 weeks later, Jennifer and I had relocated to Milan, Italy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And took a dream job as an operations manager for a company called Electrolux in Milan, Italy at 25. Wow. I had a background. I could speak Italian,
Sure.
Educated in America, had an engineering degree, manufacturing. So it was a manufacturing environment where I went from airfoils, gas turbine engines, to lawnmowers. So it was a little downgrade in terms of design and mechanical complexity, but that's probably why they hired me, and I love it. That's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had outside of being the boss.
Sure. Man, and you got to go back to Milan.
Yeah.
And Jennifer got to experience that too, which was awesome.
2 years. We were young. I tell all the young folks, and you have an opportunity to go on adventures. That was my adventure for those 2 years. Reconnected with Italy and my culture and whatnot. And, that job took me to South Carolina, and I did engineering for about a year in South Carolina. And I had just had my Jerry Maguire moment then that I didn't want to be in engineering anymore. Real estate sounded pretty good. So I got into real estate at 29 years old.
So who helped you along the way? I mean, we all want to say we're self-made and we did it on our own, but who helped you jump off that or make that decision from leaving that engineering background to jumping in a very uncertain industry of real estate?
Yeah, well, the recruiter for the real estate brokerage that I chose to work at definitely persuaded me as a good salesperson. I bet he was a Gemini.
Yeah, probably so.
Ted, the guy's name was Ted, and he was great. He looked me in the eye and said, "You're going to do great in real estate. You have the pedigree. We're going to help you along." And I said, "Ted, are you sure? I've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, or 2-year-old, whatever. I really, I'm giving up my $100,000+ career job to do this." And as an engineer, and I did it. I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it. I was young enough that I thought to myself, if this doesn't work out, I can go back and get another engineering job. I had a pretty decent resume, right? So, and that's it. Honestly, nobody else helped me. I can't really say that that I had support at home because everybody thought I was crazy.
I'm sure, yeah.
You know, going
especially
from
your parents' background, Italian background.
Yeah.
You got a good paying job.
You got it.
Keep the
Old
paying
school.
job.
You got it. Old school mentality of, you know, be a manager. If you can be a manager, you're done well in life, right?
To be a manager, man, that's, you hit the jackpot.
Yeah. Of course, my ex-wife at the time was apprehensive because we had a mortgage, we had kids and all that stuff, and she wasn't working. You know, she was a stay-home mom. We had put a little bit of money aside because Italy had turned out to be pretty lucrative for us, and I ventured into real estate, and I didn't have a whole lot of money, but I had confidence. I had belief in myself. I had visions, and I had something told me that was the right thing to do. Yeah. You know, and I just quit engineering cold turkey when Jerry Maguire one day, and both feet in real estate.
Isn't it funny, the feeling? It's just a feeling. Like, I don't know, it's either the way we're wired, the way Geminis are wired, or whatever. It's just, I can't explain it. I can see it and I can feel it. Like, and you know, with connecting the journey, like, here's where I want to go. Yeah. Here's where I'm at. I'm not quite sure about the in-between part, but
we'll figure it out along the way.
But let's go get it. Let's go figure it out along the way.
We're going to figure it out along the way.
Yeah, and I bet you had a blast doing it.
Oh, yeah. You know, well, of course, selling real estate's tough. You know, it's, I did well, though. I mean, but looking back, gosh, I wouldn't do that again. You know, at my age and this stage in life, I have the utmost respect for all our real estate professionals out there because you're out away from your family, you're helping total strangers, and you're getting abused by total strangers, you know.
And especially in this market, I'm sure the market was different, you know, just a few years back.
You got it. And, no, I jumped in at the right time in 2004 when the market was still hot. So then, of course, the market crash happened, and I did even better because of the market crash. I was a professional. I had enough years in the real estate industry to have experience and clients, and my business just doubled and tripled year after year after the market crash.
So look, that's a big jump off a cliff, right? That's a big leap of faith. You had to have some scary times in there. So all the time. What's the scariest moment you can remember pre JPAR?
Well, the scariest moment was when I quit my job and decided to enroll in real estate school. I don't know that anything else more scary than that ever took place. The other one was looking at my bank account because it took me a couple of months to get my first closing. You know, and I drew out of my 401k, and I had this 0% interest credit card, you know, $5,000 limit on it. And those two was, our family budget was so much cheaper than it is today, right? I mean, my mortgage was like $1,300, you know, my car payment $400, you know, for $5,000, well, we could well feed and you know, we were good. Yeah. So I remember having enough for 6 months, but that was the scary part is like, what if I don't? What's going to happen 6 months from now if I don't do well and I don't have any money in the bank, you know? How am I going to make ends meet? And that anxiety, I think a lot of us entrepreneurs, that anxiety, that uncertainty is really what drives us to want to win, you know, want to compete and make things happen and be successful at the things that we do.
Yeah, and I don't think that, you know, it hasn't gone away from me. I don't know if it's gone away for you. I think it lessens, but it's always, for me, it's always there, like creeping in the back of my head, right? The positivity, looking forward's there, but I kind of always have that little what if. And the thing that makes me feel good, and I'm sure you're a little bit the same, is that, look, if it all goes to hell in a handbasket, I can do it again. Yeah. Right? And I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to take the knowledge that I've learned over the past 30 years and do it again and better.
You know, I think through adversity that we face, and we know we're going to face adversity, that's just a matter of living on this planet. Sure. You know, I look at adversity as an opportunity for me to sharpen my skills and compete and typically come up ahead. You know, I came up ahead after 9/11 because I ended up having an amazing job in Italy. Came up ahead after the stock market crash and housing crash because all the part-timers left and I was a professional and ended up doubling my income. I did really well. What am I missing here in between? What events took place? Of course.
I don't know. We talked about a couple of defining moments. Yeah. One, moving to Italy, right? Mm-hmm. B, staying here where your parents went back. Yeah. Right. The interaction with Mr. Woods. Yeah. Right. and then jumping off the cliff and becoming an agent. I mean, there's all these defining moments that, like I said with Mr. Woods, it didn't happen right there.
Yeah.
It was planned. So yeah, what happened, after the crash, you doubled your business. How'd you go from working from somebody to say, where'd the idea of JPAR come up? When that's the next defining moment.
Yeah.
How'd that come to be?
Yeah, good. Yeah, actually, that is another defining moment. I did really well in real estate, and I'll say this for the story, not the brag, but I became the number one agent in my market as the team. My team was number one for 3 years in a row. And I guess as any competitor, as any entrepreneur, you always ask, what's next? You've reached the summit, what else can we go? And for me was move. I was in Columbia, South Carolina. And for me was come back to North Texas. I did it in Columbia. Now I want to do it in Dallas. And for me was, I want to be, now to say I was the number one agent in Columbia, South Carolina is one thing. But for me to say that I was the number one agent in Dallas-Fort Worth, that was the next challenge. And honestly, I came back here because I wanted to be one of the top agents, and I wanted to open up offices here and whatnot. And the defining moment was when I decided to launch JP and Associates REALTORS and not affiliate myself with national franchise.
And you started that here first in South Carolina.
Nope.
You were with a broker.
I was with the national brand in South Carolina. Yep. Came here, didn't know anybody as well. And I had family, my ex-wife's family and my college buddies and close friends. So I knew more people here in Dallas than I did in South Carolina when I started selling real estate in South Carolina. And I had a confidence factor that, look, whether it's real estate, whether it's in Detroit, Michigan, whether it's in Dallas, Fort Worth, Columbia, South Carolina, Miami, Florida, it's still real estate. The basic concepts are there. Yeah. So I was confident, and I did pretty well. Started the team, as you know, and we had a couple of agents, and a couple of agents turned into 20, 75, 150, 300, and just grown.
The year you moved back to here, that was
2010.
2010 started
JPAR 2011.
Okay. So came here, not an agent, came and started brokerage from scratch. That's amazing, man.
Yep.
And short time. I mean, 2011 seems like it was yesterday. Right?
Yeah, it feels like it was yesterday. We've come a long way, but a lot of memories, very vivid. I mean, 8 years is not a long time when you think about what's all has happened in the world in the last 8 years, but all very vivid memories. The agents that we've helped along the journey, everything else that's happened in the growth of JPAR, now franchising. It's just been, again, a culmination of, now it's not luck anymore. Now it's preparation and...
Sure, it's process, it's operations, it's systems.
Expertise, education, knowledge, and opportunities that are constantly presenting themselves.
So I got to ask this question, though. So JPAR, I think, is different than, we work with a lot of real estate agents, a lot of brokerages, and it's different, right? It's a feeling, it's a way that y'all conduct business, it's a way that y'all treat agents, the way that y'all grow. Where'd that come from? You said, no one helped you along the way, but that had to come somewhere. Like when I look at the way that I treat our employees, our vendors, just the way that I am, that comes from somewhere, and it takes some time to look back and go, who'd I learn that from? Like, where'd that come from? Starting a business from scratch, like where'd that knowledge of this is the culture that I'm going to have?
It happened very organically. I was an agent. Obviously, I knew what agents wanted. If you look back at the BARF bag, at the Air Cygnus bag where I wrote the model for JPAR, it was really written from a top producer standpoint of what I wanted in a brokerage, what I was looking for in a brokerage, not what I wanted as a business owner, broker for my agents.
If I was in the agent shoes, this is what I want. I'm at the top. I'm at the top of my game in Columbia, South Carolina. This is what I would want.
Right. Here's what I want. And for me, it was important. And and I think to this day, in fact, I know to this day, because just about everybody in our leadership management team was an agent in Standpoint. We appreciate, we respect, we understand that agents are our clients, and that without the agents, we wouldn't exist as a brokerage, right?
Sure.
So we treat them like clients, like you do with your clients, utility concierge. So we don't really have that employee-employer relationship. We really have more of that servant style. You're my client. How can I make your day better?
Servant leadership. We're all rowing in the same direction. How can we get there as fast as possible?
Yeah, and that's organically. Zig Ziglar said it, right? You can have everything you want in life as long as you help other people get what they want first. And JPAR is that. I mean, if there's any company that exemplifies that phrase that Zig has, is we help agents with what they want. And agents help buyers and sellers with what they want. And that's why they're blessed and and rewarded in their business.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of flat fee brokerages out there, right? But to have the tools and the systems and the processes and all the things that y'all have for your agent, I mean, it rivals a lot of companies that have a different structure than you guys.
Yeah, we're constantly looking at ways to give back to the agents. Happy agents, happy broker, right? Happy brokerage, happy JP. Look, we don't want to track dogma. We live by the golden rule. We want to give back. Now, as you know, nothing in the business that's ever been successful has been done because of the money. Money's always been a byproduct of success, of putting your heart and soul and passion into whatever it is that your career is, and believing in yourself. And money's always found to be. I've never been successful or anything when I put money first and foremost. I'm going to do this because I'm going to make all this money, right?
Yeah.
It's just not. It's never panned out. So. Us being able to help the agents and provide the commission structure that we have, absolutely we've been blessed, financially, rewarded financially for the platform that we built and the company that we built. But and a great thing it shows in the agents too. If you ask any JP and Associates Realtors agent what they love most about JPAR, the fees are like number 10 on the list.
Sure.
It's a byproduct. There's none other reasons at least that they say about JPAR why they love the company as it is.
Yeah, that's not what's leading the charge, right? And you feel it, right? It's weird. I mean, like I said, that's what Geminis do. I feel things. You just have a sense of being in the right place, right time, around the right people. So you mentioned you mentioned all those defining moments. I have a sense of a feeling that there was probably another one, probably 2 to 3 years ago, right? When you made a shift in the business and you're looking to do some other things. I mean, what do you think spurred that? Again, I have a sense of what it was. So you think 2010 to, I don't know, probably 2017, 2018, you've had a real good rise. JPAR's blowing up, and then there's another shift.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I had to sit there and think about it, but I was approached by Realogy, a company, the largest franchisors in the real estate arena. They own brands like Century 21, Coldwell Banker, ERA, Sotheby, and on and on. And they flew me and a couple of other people on the management team to New Jersey because they wanted to either buy us out or they wanted for us to become a franchisee of them, whether it was through the JPAR logo or whether it was through us just becoming one of their franchises under one of their brands. Of course, as any entrepreneur, we explored the opportunity, see what these guys have to offer and say. Realogy, it's the big boy, right? When Realogy comes knocking on the door, you listen.
Yeah.
And we went, and I remember before even the meeting started, we're checking in at the security office, and I see the Realogy headquarters, and pretty cool there, Morristown, I think it's Morristown, New Jersey, where it is. And I'm telling my CFO, we're not going to go and franchise. We're going to become Realogy. I remember saying that, and they looked at me like, okay, you're crazy. I've been told that a few times before, right? As you know.
Of course.
And I listened, and they wine and dined us for 2 days. And I remember at the end of the meeting, I said, guys, I appreciate your time. I don't think this is a good fit for us. We believe that we're going to start franchising our model. And they're still crazy. Or are you going to go franchise? You don't have the money. You don't have the capital. I love naysayers, right? And sitting there in that meeting, they were all saying, "Oh, that's crazy. We're going to talk you out of it. You don't want to franchise." Well, we left, and it was about 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It took us about 6 months to get franchising up and going, and JPAR Franchising sold its first franchise in November of a year and a half ago. And now we have 60 franchises in 17 states and growing weekly.
It's a quick 2 years.
Yeah. So JPAR started Vesuvius Holdings, which is a bit like Realogy, right? Vesuvius Holdings owns the brokerage and owns the JPAR franchising and owns Boss and owns some commercial holdings. So I made that promise to my team that we would be Realogy, and we're kind of a little. Our goal is to be a little better than Realogy and be a little more diversified. So private equity firm, of course, is essentially what Vesuvius is.
Sure. And again, what was the name of that?
Vesuvius.
Yes. Interesting how comes back around, right? You grew
Getting goosebumps when you think about it, but yes.
I'm telling you. I mean, we've talked, I knew the name of the company, but I didn't know that where you were, you looked at Mount Vesuvius.
I looked up at a mountain every single day.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. I played underneath in the streets, and you look up and you couldn't see Mount Vesuvius from the streets because the high rises, but Mount Vesuvius was looking down on you.
Yeah.
And we had, of course, very seismic activity. We had earthquakes, and as a little boy, and we're like, I'm in an earthquake. Does that mean Vesuvius is going to erupt? So we, back in the 50s and 60s, Americans did the whole duck and roll under right, nuclear or whatever.
Like that's going to help.
Yeah, right. But in Italy, as little boys, we always, as students, we always had to do earthquake training. So we had to fire, because we didn't have fire drills, because our buildings don't catch fire. They're built out of mason and concrete, but we had to do earthquake drills. So what would do in case we had an earthquake, and and we would do the whole. So we were very, that's what we had to fear of.
Let me ask you this question: what does freedom look and feel like to you? True freedom.
I have this vision of me walking along a row of grapes, and have the simple tasks of working the land and tasting the grapes, and not have to worry about a meeting, or not have to worry about P&Ls, and not have to worry about our employees' families, and really just work on making the best wine possible. I don't know if that's for the future, as you know. Maybe not.
Hopefully.
But freedom for me would be to have the ability to just go and not worry about anything or anybody else other than my family and kids, because everybody else is taken care of, including our team and staff and whatnot. They're in good hands. And I can do something that I finally have the freedom to do on my own accord.
Love it, man. I love it. Well, look, man, I appreciate you first from our friendship. I think we hit it off very quickly before we even became business partners, but I appreciate the time we spend together. And this has been fun. There's a lot of things we spent a lot of time together, but there's a lot of things I didn't know. Like the Vesuvius thing was really cool. And then just sitting back and looking at those turning points in our lives, that makes a big difference. So I really appreciate you coming today.
Always good to reminisce and give back.
Yep. Hey, thank y'all for joining us on Connecting the Journey. I hope you picked up a little nugget that can help you along your journey. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.